Hello viewers and welcome back again. Today what we're going to learn is so quick and so simple. We're going to learn what we call reversing the jumps. So in previous tutorial we learned about debugging steps where I show you all the interface of SDBG64. We did stepping into course, we now know breakpoints. So now how do you reverse jumps in the program? So this takes us to the more advanced level. So by now you need to the interface, because after lesson 6, 7, 8 we are going to the more advanced, because we are going to crack GUI, that's the graphical user interface, because this we are dealing with command line interfaces. So you need to step up your game and try to follow. Anything you don't understand, you can leave comments under my YouTube channel below and I'll be able to respond to that. And also you just try to follow the process and also try to learn more. Okay, so today we're going to learn what we call reversing a jump in SDBG64 of any software, so that we're able to know what is hidden beside or behind any software you come across. I know some of the software is very difficult to reverse engineer, but if you follow this process and with some bit knowledge and some smart level, you'll be able to bypass all these restrictions on some applications. So without wasting my time, let's get into it. So you'll be back to our Windows 7 environment as usual. Then I'm going to open my software cracking toolbox. Then we open this first software, which is a command line interface application, which we've been used throughout the course from day 1 up to now. And all you need to, you can drag or just open it. So I'm just going to drag into my SDBG64 deassembler or debugger. Okay, perfect. So now you could see what the program is running, but we don't see anything here. In previous tutorial I ran it from the command line where we saw try harder, as the programmer expects us to be able to see the serial or the password or the phrase he used in this application. He wants us, the reverse engineers or the crackers, to be able to reveal that information for him. Okay, so that's the main point of cracking the software. He brought up the software for us to be able to decode it or crack it to see the information behind the software. And I'm going to show you that, but before we start, I'm going to tell you something. You see, this application I'm using is SDBG64 and it's the latest version. Now sometimes when you are working with this application, it differs when you are issuing commands and other stuff. So you see, previous we do some commands, sometimes you need to skip and do some other ones using our brilliances of this software, because in the previous versions it was quite cool. But you see, when things are advanced, they try to change it. But it's the same environment, the same procedure, but just some quick tricks within the application you need to be smart about it. So let me show you something. So in this application we need to identify, but we are going to talk about reversing the jump. Now I always say, anytime you launch a program, it goes into the operating system, and this is not what we want to crack. We want to crack the software itself. So first thing is to run the program to the user code. Okay, yes, see the run, just run it. So you always be at the entry point, entry point. So it's like going to a club, they will tell you this is the entry point, don't pass at the back door, please enter the first place that leads you to the club, so that you buy your ticket before you enter. So it's the same thing as application. Anytime you use a debugger or disassembler like SDBG64, the first thing is to run to the entry point of the program, that is where you enter before you go to the main host behind the application. That is what you need to put into your mind. So at the entry point, what we are going to do is run the program to where we set a breakpoint. But now we've not set a breakpoint. In the previous tutorial we did something of revealing the try harder string, so which was, let me scroll down. We can use that method of searching by right clicking here and search for current model. The same thing, but I will scroll down because it's close to me. Okay, it's not far from here. So this was what we did in the previous, that when we tried to show this thing called try hard. But today we just want to skip this, because when we click on this jump J here, which is what a conditional jump, you see I told you some of the jumps are unconditional, which is only JMP. It's unconditional. It doesn't look for any girl spec, whether it has an ass or breast. It just go for any girl it wants. But for the conditional, it tries to look for the specs, whether it has boobs and ass before it tries to pick the one it likes. That means it has met that individual condition. Okay, but for JMP, which is unconditional, it doesn't look at anything, whether the person is fair, black, dark skin. It just go through and just take anything it wants. So with this conditional, try to compare somewhat registry before it is. So looking at this, you could see down here it's called jump is taken, which means from here this application needs to jump to this place and display try harder for us, like the one is show when I run at the command prompt, is showing the scale try harder. But for us not to see that message, that is where the reversing of jump comes in. Now here we don't want to see this again. We just want to know the secret information hidden behind the software, because that information is right here, is between here. But because the programmer didn't want you to see, it tried to skip, because it wants you to buy the serial key for you to enter. Otherwise it should show you this what message, that is try harder. So it just, from here the instruction is to, if the user enter the serial key, then don't jump, initiate this command or instruction, then initiate this. But here, because we don't have the serial key, or if not able to extract the serial key, it will jump to this line. You try. That's why we see the red thing. Here you will see jump is taken, so you can't do anything within the application. So for us as crackers or decoders, we need to be smart here. And what do you mean by smartness? We need to modify the code. That is where this debugger is. A debugger means you are debugging the code so that you will be able to function well, to take out some errors if there's errors, and also if there's something secret you want to see, you can debug and see. So instead of us for this program to jump here, what you are going to do is, there is a registry here called the ZF, which is the zero flag. The flag actually means the secret phrase or anything behind any software. That's what we term as a flag when you're decoding or trying to crack an application. So you could see here the ZF is set to 1. So here you could see I set a breakpoint here. We can double click. Now the breakpoint is not there, so we can double click again to set a break. So we don't want it to jump, so we set our breakpoint on where the jump starts, which is the red to this place. We start from here. Then now we go to the zero flag and modify it from 0 to 1. 1 means true and 0 means false. And we are dealing with binaries. Okay, so 1 is true, 0 is false. So all you need to do is double click here to change the flag to 0. Okay, and now when we do that, it will not move, and we're able to see our information, the flag which is hidden behind the application right here. Because in this tutorial we are cracking command line interface programs. So in the advanced we will be cracking GUI, that's the graphical user interface. That is what's going to be more and more interesting. So look at what happened. So here we set our flag, our breakpoint. We've already treated breakpoint here. Then we modified this one to 0, so we double click. Now you see it's changed to 0, and look at what happened here. Jump is not taken. So at first when we double click again to 1, you could see what jump is taken, and when I double click it will say jump is not taken, because we've already modified it. So you will see this red will change into gray. Just watch again. Now perfect is changed to gray, and it says jump is not taken, which means now we can move down to display what was hidden behind the software. So it's not going to come to try hard again straight. So all we need to do is to do step over again, step over, still stepping over, step over. It brings us to back to where the application was supposed to be. So all we need to do is to run the program again. Perfect. And now when we run it to the entry point and run it again, and now move step over, it initiated what? The zero flag changed to 1 again because we restarted the program. So all we need to put here and re-modify it again to 0. Now it's not taking again, and let's keep stepping over so we bypass and see the information. Okay, perfect. Run the program. Still showing try harder, which means we are not at that point we wanted. So let's restart the program again. So you keep doing this to be able to bypass. You run to the entry point, you run to where the breakpoint was set, you modify this zero flag to 0. Okay, now we can step over. Okay, keep stepping over. Now perfect. So after stepping over and running our program, we were able to see the flag. So look here, when we come down to the program, you see where we step, where we made the breakpoint, it moved from this function. You see it didn't jump straight to where it was supposed to be try harder. It moved to the call function to call this information which was hidden before it comes to the other unconditional jump, which we saw because that one too is already taken, as you could see, because we are on this jump. Okay, this is where it highlighted its jump, which means it's going to jump to this one too. Okay, which means it was supposed to print this, but because we modified the zero flag for it not to jump to that line to print the try harder, after modifying it to the 0, which was not taken, it came out to call this function. So at first, if it was supposed to jump, it will not call this function. So because we modify and try to step down a bit and restart the program several times to be able to do that, we bypass that function, and now we're able to see the flag of the software, which is, you can tell me, like the serial key of the application. So you see, this is how you can reverse a jump to be able to print out any serial which is hidden behind any software. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Keep practicing. I told you to download this application in the previous tutorial I made so that you'll be able to follow along. So we're able to crack this application by revealing the serial key, which we didn't know where it was, but looking at the process we went through, by bypassing and modifying this 0 flag, now it's back to 1, because when you come here you could see that the jump is already taken from the GMP. Okay, so it's back to 1 because you are on the jump function. Any jump you see, you will see it's taken because you see the red flag here, which means it's about to jump. So that is easily and proper way to be able to crack online serial keys. So in advanced coming tutorial, you will be learning how to crack the graphical user interface application. Hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Keep practicing. See, that's why I told you this is the new version of the software SDBG. So sometimes you need to trick the application to be able to bypass a whole lot of stuff, and with some previous version it goes straight to the point. So you can download version 2.05, which is a recommended one if you want to follow the process in order. But with this new version, you need to trick it a bit. So if you follow what I'm doing, you'll be able to bypass and be able to review the code as usual. So that brings us to the end of this tutorial. So in the next tutorial, we are going to treat what we call how to patch a program. Okay, so that is going to be an interesting in the 7th lesson. Okay, so take care, enjoy your day, and see you in our next lesson. Goodbye.